Hello, and thank you for joining us for our Living God's Light question and answer. I'm Lynn Taylor, and with me is Vinney Tolman. Thank you to everyone who submitted questions for the call. We received probably about 100 different questions, so we won't be able to answer all of them. And since we're recording this, I chose questions that are not specific to one person, but rather address more broad questions. And there's also some that would be fascinating to talk about, but they're really better to answer in a one-on-one or a small group setting. And we've been talking about ways to maybe do something like that in the future. We're still figuring out the best way to do it. Also, when there's a question specific to a particular religion, I tried to rephrase it in a way that would apply more broadly. At Living God's Light, we strive to be a place for people of all religious traditions or people with no religious tradition. And each of us at Living God's Light, we have our own beliefs, and we don't proselyte for any particular belief system within Living God's Light. Really, we are a place where people from all faiths can join together in the light and love of God. And that's really what we're all about. And that means that you're going to encounter people with beliefs that you don't necessarily agree with, or that may sound just plain strange, and that's okay. Remember that the common thread in Living God's Light is the love of God. And so you don't have to agree with what someone says. You can even think it's weird. It's a chance to love them anyway and maybe explore your own beliefs and see if what was shared with you is something that can contribute to your relationship with God. And then after all, we're all in this together. Also, one last note before I start hitting Vinney with questions. Vinney has not seen any of these questions beforehand. He prefers to just give the response that comes to mind in the moment without anything else getting in the way, which is always interesting for me too, because I don't know how it's going to go. Vinney, anything you'd like to say before we get started?
Well, I'd love to touch on that real quick. I've learned that if I know about the question beforehand, my brain, which I have a pretty strong brain, at least sometimes, it will try to start answering that question for me and not rely on my intuition. And when it's asked in the moment live, it tends to be a lot more authentic and a lot more intuitive. And the more intuitive, the better, I've learned, especially when it's regard to Living God's Light, our nonprofit, our organization, and helping people connect to their own inner divinity. So I'll kind of leave it at that this is all about. And I want to welcome everybody. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining today. I'm excited, a little nervous, because sometimes we get asked some very tough questions, especially when I don't know what the questions are going to be. But these are important questions that we all have. And I have had and currently have sometimes. I'll have those questions come. So I really appreciate everyone being here and joining in. And I'm excited to see where this goes tonight.
And in a moment of authenticity here, I'm also a little nervous when we do this because I don't know how Vinny's going to answer any of these things. And I'll just, in my journey the last couple of years with this, I have definitely encountered some things that I had not considered before, and that's okay. Some of them I'm still not sure I completely am okay with, but that's all right. I do know that I'm in a better place now, and I'm more connected now than I was when I started this journey, and that's why I'm here, and I love it. And if you would like to find out more, I should mention here at the beginning, livinggodslight.com. We're working on ways to make it easier for people that are part of this community to get together. We're testing some things out, but we want to make sure that everything's working smooth before we open up the floodgates, because we have, I'm not exaggerating, thousands of people that are connected with this, and we are actively looking for ways to help get everybody together, because they're big things. Vinny and I have talked about impressions and things that we both have had, and thank you for being here with us. It's exciting. Okay, with that, anything else, Vinny?
Living God's Light is kind of an energetic family. We've got members all over the world, and I'm very grateful for everybody who is involved, either actively or passively. I want everyone to know that in the future, we plan to make this more of a networking venue, or an ability to connect to each other so that we can find our own Living God's Light family locally. So we are looking forward to that as part of our plan and part of our process of growing the nonprofit. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, with that, ready for the first one?
Let's go for it. I'm ready.
Okay. So I grouped a whole bunch of them around spiritual growth. The first one is, if we feel like we're experiencing a spiritual awakening, how do we know that's of God and not from an evil source?
To me, it's very easy for me, and I'm not going to say this is a rule for everyone. I'm going to only talk from my perspective, from my experience, from what I've learned over the years. Now, a little bit of background, if you're fresh to me and my story, 20 years, almost 21 years ago, I was dead in a body bag and revived. Later, only to be brain dead for 3 days while I went on a tourist visa through heaven and got to see the short version of heaven. And when I came back, I had certain things that had changed in me. And for 21 years now, for almost 21 years, I've been learning from that, learning to perfect that. Am I really good at it? I wouldn't say that. I just keep trying and trying and trying and modifying my techniques and abilities and keep upgrading those as I go year after year. To me, this is where you know, is all of us have an internal barometer. All of us have an internal compass. And that compass is essentially where we resonate on a love scale. So where you're resonating at a love scale, anything that's going to be good for you is going to come from more love than you. Anything that's going to be bad for you is going to come from less love than you. So, and that seems a little complicated, but it's actually quite simple. So as you're receiving intuitive messages, if you feel those intuitive messages are raising your love energy, or you're feeling it comes from love, then that would be a good intuitive message. And if you're feeling a sense of fear, a sense of running away, or having any type of angst or fear from the message, then that would be coming from a source below you. So to me, that would be something I wouldn't follow necessarily. So yeah, it's interesting. Even people that have received messages that are life-saving messages, messages that literally saved their lives, they came from a loving space, even though it was to keep them out of harm, in a protective way, which you could receive that necessarily in a fearful way. They didn't. They received it in a loving way. They followed it, and it kept them out of harm. So that's kind of the long and short of how you decipher which is which. Is check it with your gut. Is this coming out of love, or is this coming out of fear? If it's coming out of fear, check it again. Make sure that you know it's coming out of fear. And if it is, don't go there. You don't want to be following necessarily. At least I don't want to be following fear messages. It's only going to downgrade me and serve to lower my energy, lower my love frequency as I follow a message like that.
Thank you. And next question, with being given this rare opportunity and experience that you've had, how do you hold on to the light you experienced on a daily basis?
That one's a hard one. You find certain things that you can do to help you reclaim the light that you've experienced in your own life. And we've all experienced great moments in life. And one of the best tools, if you would use it, is a gratitude journal. And if you can write a gratitude journal when you need some light in your life, go to your gratitude journal and read it, and use that journal like a prescription. You can use it as a prescription to do it daily, and it's really going to serve to upgrade you and keep you in a gratuitous state, or keep you in a state of gratitude or love. Also, especially when you're feeling down, that's when you really need to read your gratitude journal. And if you don't do a gratitude journal, start listing the things you are grateful for, even when you're suffering, even when you're having a hard time. And I promise, if you look deep enough, you'll find plenty to be grateful for. For most of us, we've got two hands, you've got two ears, a nose, a mouth, two eyes, 2 feet, two legs. We got a functioning heart, functioning kidneys, functioning liver. We have a lot that's just in the worldly sense. We have a lot of things helping make our life easier, and not everybody is given those things. There's some people that aren't given all those things, and that's just in the real world, or I should say the third dimensional world, the world that we live in. That's in those terms. Now, if you think to a whole nother level, I have a creator who created me, who loves me unconditionally. No matter what I do, if I do good, I do bad, my creator loves me. That love is completely and supremely unconditional. And contemplating things like this can help you maintain and hold on to the light. Yeah.
Thanks. I'm going to try to merge these next two, and you can either answer them separately or together as whatever works best. So how do we experience profound, deep healing as you did on the other side? Is that even possible here? And then tied to that, many times people that have had near-death experiences or transformational spiritual experiences like that, they have some deep spiritual knowings and heightened senses that come from that. Is there a way that those of us who haven't had those experiences can tap into that as well? So the healing side and the gift side, the awareness.
So absolutely, yes to both. We can receive that healing here on this side of things. We don't have to, die and go to heaven to receive our healing. But this is the weirdest thing in our life. Take anything that you feel you need in your life and go give that very thing to someone else, and that's how you give it to you. So if you need healing, whether it be physical healing, emotional healing, energetic healing, any of the above, go find a way to give healing to someone else who needs healing. And in doing so, you'll be healing yourself. It's an interesting way of trying to work through this life, but it's a principle that is paramount and foundational to our existence, that as you go and fulfill a need, your needs will be fulfilled. And in the religious communities and outside the religious communities alike, there is very successful people that understand this principle, that you lack, go give, and you will receive. Now, on the second part of that question, is there a way we can upgrade or we can develop our own intuition, our own spiritual gifts? Yes, absolutely. And that's what our organization is all about, is we consider ourselves the nonprofit side, a spiritual education and training option for people that helps them activate their own intuition, activate their own inner guidance systems, because we are all given these things. But just like a radio, you can buy a radio, but you're never going to hear any of the music unless you turn it on and you tune in. And that's what it's all about. We are all those radios. We've got to find our power source to give us power. We have to figure out how to switch us on. And then once we're switched on, we got to figure our fine tuning of how we tune in the right message. And part of that process all along the way is understanding the strongest force in the universe, which that force is love, specifically God's love for us. And the more we can tap into that, the easier and the better it becomes for us.
Awesome, thank you. All right, shifting topics a little bit. There are several questions about religions. The first one is, in your book, The Light After Death, you mentioned that you saw people from all religions in the heaven that you visited. How does that reconcile with the teachings of religions that say that their way is the only way into heaven?
Okay. So notice this, that the teachings of all these religions that teach that their path is the only path, these are the teachings of man, not God. When you go to the teachings of God, you find, in all the different religions, that God is this great force, and this great force of creation that is all-encompassing and is found everywhere, inside and out of us. And that all-encompassing energy or force, yes, could be packaged into a box and call it a religion. Yes, absolutely. But the hardest thing for us to understand is, for us to really know God, we have to open up all the boxes. One way I like to have people visualize this is, God is a wheel, and each spoke on that wheel is a religion. And to really know God, the whole body of God, you've got to step back and look at all the spokes, see them where they connect in the core with God. And that's how we get to know God. In Eastern philosophy, they have the story of the 9 blind men, and you have 9 blind men. They are being taken around the world to experience certain things, and their leader takes them to experience an elephant. And these 9 blind men, they experience an elephant for about 4 or 5 hours. When they get done, they start telling their friends what an elephant is. And one blind man says that the elephant is this malleable, flexible trunk, and it grabs things and it spits air through it and spits water through it. But it's also so flexible, it can really maneuver itself into all sorts of weird places. And another blind man, knocks him on the shoulder and says, "That's not an elephant. An elephant is a big, thick leg, as thick as a tree, and it has these hard nails down at the bottom. But underneath the bottom of this leg is a soft pad, and that's an elephant." And another blind man looks at him and says, "You guys are both crazy. An elephant is this big flappy ear. That's what an elephant is. It flaps back and forth, and it brushes dust away, and it brushes flies away." And another blind man looks at these others and says, "I don't know what elephant you guys were looking at. An elephant is this stringy tail, and it whips back and forth, and it smells horrible. But that's what an elephant is this stringy tail." Now, to really know what an elephant is, you have to gather all the descriptions. And after you've gathered all the descriptions, and you take all the truths from all these descriptions, gather them together, you get an idea or a picture of what an elephant is. But to truly know what an elephant is, you have to go experience an elephant. That's the story of religion.
Thank you. So, tied to that, I'm going to merge another couple of questions here. If I benefit from being part of a religious community, many good qualities about it, the support is great, but I also sometimes get frustrated with the closed-mindedness of the teachings I hear at the church, and I feel that any faith group I find would have the same issue. Do you have any tips for balancing if being part of religion is helpful to me, but I run into that frustration of people being closed-minded? Any suggestions on that?
Absolutely. So I love to think of religion as a guide and a tool to help strengthen my connection to my Creator. But I don't consider it a cage, because it can be a cage for you. And if you allow it to become a cage for you, when it's time for you to grow beyond what the religion is teaching you, you will resist it and shut it down. So to me, I believe that it's important for all of us to have religion as an option, any religion that we can really connect to our Creator through, and allow that connection process to begin, and that affiliation with our Creator to begin, so that as you build that relationship, you get to continue to grow. But use it for what it's meant to be, a tool. But here's the one thing we got to remember. It's man's idea. that we only save and care about some of us and that we throw away all the rest. Because I know for a fact, as a human father, that I would never throw away half my family or half my children. I would never throw away my offspring because one of them was imperfect. Never, never, ever, ever. And I'm a human parent. And I know for a fact our Creator is far greater at loving us than I ever could be as a human. And so I know that love extends way beyond what we're taught in religions. And a lot of the, I'm going to call it the throwaway people, the people that are thrown away through the religions, are some of the most important people. And I'm going to take Christianity specifically, as which I am a Christian. Christ himself would be cast out of a lot of the churches today if he walked in and acted the way he did when he was alive on earth. He would be cast out for that behavior. He was a rebel. He was a rule breaker. He was helping people connect to their own inner divinity and finding their own higher path. And it's amazing to me that we essentially have turned into a society of cast outs. We're always going and casting people out, putting labels on them, canceling them because of they make a mistake or they say something wrong or make a wrong judgment. But I'll tell you, our Creator is not that way. Those are the actions, the thoughts, and the beliefs of man and woman, not of our Creator. Yeah.
Thanks. So shifting again more towards spiritual guidance, spiritual messages, this question, sometimes I feel fear around our current circumstances and the chaos in the world. I feel fear and want to react quickly by selling the home we own near the ocean, buy land inland, hunker down, only to quickly realize that fear led that thinking. Then there's other spirit-led times where I'm being shown to prepare to do exactly that. My question is, can you share any insight into navigating the challenges between acting from fear versus intuition when they can have a similar solution?
So it's important for us to understand that in this life, we can be motivated by love or fear. Those are the two biggest motivators. Um, Fear and anger are the same energy. Anger is pointed outwards, fear is pointed inwards, but it's the same energy. And love is the opposite of both. And, we can really guide our lives and adjust our lives and plan our lives using either force, whether we're the whip on the back of the donkey or we're the carrot on the front of the donkey. We can still move around. But the problem is, if we're the whip on the back of the donkey, we're going to end up possibly just short of the right place, where we'll get to where we're okay and thinking we're in the right place, but we're just short because we're using that negative energy to get us there. So it's very important for us to use the love energy to move us, to guide us as we make big decisions in our life, especially the big decisions of moving or doing something like that. It's important for us to use the love energy. And is it easy to get caught up in fear? Absolutely. Absolutely, especially if we're watching the news or we're checking in on the news on a regular basis. The news is like a fear bucket. The more that you check in on it, the more you're going to get on it. You're going to get that on you. So, find your way of understanding what's going on around you without getting dirty and without getting that fear coming off on you. So to me, use the love. And if you're not sure if you're using fear or love to guide you in making a decision, I'm someone that says pray about it. Pray about the calming of it. Pray about the loving energy of it. And if that loving energy comes, you know that even if maybe you were going to do something out of fear, shifting with the prayer, you're able to shift that energy over to the love side and do it with the right energy from the get-go, if that makes sense.
Yes, thank you. There were several questions asking for personal guidance and direction, and we won't go into personal questions on a call like this. We're going to be posting it online later, but I will ask this in a way that might help those looking for personal guidance. So the question here, which is actually emerging of several of them, what can I do What can I do to know the best course of action in any given situation? For example, what to do with my job or in a relationship or other choice I have to make.
Um, any big choices that come in front of me, I gut check them to my guidance systems, and I ask if this helps raise my love energy in my life or if it lowers my love energy. And it is hard. It's hard for me even to navigate this life because we do get a lot of decisions in front of us. And we just take it one step at a time, one decision at a time, and gut check that. Here's the biggest thing. We have to understand why we're here on Earth School. We're here on Earth School so that we can discover and experience joy. And in doing so, that amplifies our love muscle, our heart. And that amplifies, our heart amplifies our love energy around us, which in doing so, it's going to amplify the love energy of those around us. And like the butterfly effect, God wants us, influencing each other in a positive way, as positive possible and as much as possible. And all that's going to do is continually awaken that love energy on this planet and strengthen it and spread it in a very positive way. So the more love that you can bring into your decision process, the better. But here's the hard part. We'll have two decisions in front of us. We can go, route A or route B. And we say, which one's the right route? And that's actually not the right way for us to ask that question. We have to say, Creator, I plan on going route A. That seems like the best route for me. That's my plan. Is that the right plan? And there we will get our intuitive notice, our intuitive guidance of, you know what? Yeah, plan A is it. I can feel it. It's really, comforting me. It's really settling into my gut and really embracing me. Or it will feel obtuse. It'll feel abstract to us. And if it feels abstract to us, then we know we need to go check, route B or gut check. Maybe there's a route C we were never even considering. And that's where we start that process. But the strongest things that we have, the greatest magic wands that we have are our thoughts. So make sure that you are allowing yourself positive thoughts, giving yourself positive thoughts on a regular basis. And that's going back to that gratitude. Keeping in an attitude of gratitude through this process will make sure that you're keeping a clean energy in your guidance. But if you don't have the attitude of gratitude, it's easy for the other energies to get in there.
Another big one for you. Just for everybody out there, as if they were asking this, how can I learn my purpose in this life?
So this is interesting. This is the number one question I get asked now in one-on-one sessions for about the last 9 months. And it didn't used to be this question. There's a reason we're all asking this question right now. What is our purpose? And this is the hard part. We think that we need to be doing a certain thing or becoming a certain thing or being a certain way of being to fulfill our purpose. But really, our Creator wants us to find and experience joy. So we need to go out there and find what helps us experience joy. And what you will find is the things that make you feel the most joy in your life are the things that are part of your destiny, that are part of your life path, what you're destined to be doing at this time in your life. And that's not going to always be the same thing. It will be different at different parts of your life. But what's really neat about that is the purpose we're here in Earth School is to learn how to love and learn how to create. And part of the amplification of both of those is joy. So go out there and find how and what makes you joy and feel joy in your life. But don't think that joy and happiness are the same thing because they're not. Joy is something that is longer lasting, and it fulfills the soul, not just the body. So So go out there and create and find joy.
Cool. Thank you. All right, let's see. I'm gonna have to skip over a couple of them. So this one, many people have come back. So this is shifting more to talking about dealing with challenges. So many people have come back from fatal accidents. Can our prayers for our loved ones always bring them back to life if we do it right after an accident, or is it all based on God's plan for us?
Yes and yes. So yes to both of those. And the reason why I say yes is there's extremely strong power in prayer. If we pray, and enough of us pray, we start to change the physical universe. We quite literally change the physical universe with our prayers. Does that mean that we can override God's plan and keep someone here on earth that wasn't meant to stay here on earth? No, we can't. We can't override those plans, but we can influence those plans. So perfect example is if someone has a path where they could cross over during this accident, or they could cross over a few years later to a heart attack. If there's enough prayer during the accident, they may be able to have that lease on life where they come back for a few years until they have their heart attack and cross over. But the whole process of crossing is a beautiful thing. And it's only hard for us, the survivors. It's not hard for those who cross over at all. In fact, it's a beautiful, amazing, tremendously gorgeous experience. And really the prayers are for us, is to keep us feeling supported, loved, and surrounded by our loved ones. That's really what the prayers are. And they are so very powerful, especially as we do it in groups. We get great power coming to us as a group as we pray for things.
Oh, thank you. So the next one is, how do you turn high worldly expectations into expectations pointed towards God, especially as a parent to young children?
Say that one more time for me.
So it's let me see if I can put this another way. So say as a parent, you want things for, you want the good things for yourself, for your family, for your kids. Many times those expectations, when we look at them, they're really worldly expectations. How do we transform those into like more divine expectations for our families? Because there's so many
Okay,
pressures and desires, and we want them to be
I get
successful
that.
in life.
Yeah, I get that. As a parent, you have certain things you want your kids to experience or have, and when they don't experience them, you kind of feel let down. Like, why did that not happen for your child? Um, to shift that, here's what you do. You want to make the best plans possible, especially using your intuition. And so when you're working to help plan, and I say help plan because you want your child to be a part of this, by the way, because it's an amazing building experience to have your child be a part of the planning. So involve the children as much as you can in the planning. And as you make plans together for the child and their life path, as things alter their way or the path changes, lovingly embrace the changes or lovingly fight the changes together and try to overcome any of those changes, but use your intuition all the way, because there's going to be times where you learn, you know what, there is time to try to fight to override the changes that are happening or the failures that may happen. And then there's going to be other times where your intuition will guide you to fully embrace those failures, because those failures are going to be a nudge in the right direction for a huge step up for the child. So, that intuition is a big part of that process. But the hard part is you have to take your logic out of it. We have to take our ego out of it. Our ego is our sense of self and importance in the body. And it's an acronym for edging God out of you. And so you have to be careful about letting your ego do any of the guidance for your kids or for yourself. So, using that intuition again is a big part of this, to make sure that you have that higher path. And also notice how much joy or lack of joy is coming from your child while they're on this path. And don't send them down a miserable path. Their life will be short. They're not going to accomplish much if they stay miserable their whole life. So allow them to find their own path of joy. And the Creator is really good at helping parents do this, because parents have a kind of a ministry for their children where they have the ability to really know things that are unspoken about our kids.
Excellent, thank you. So next question, what is the right approach to deal with a person in the family who has, in this example, a personality disorder, and now tends to show signs of dementia in addition to that? The person was always disrespectful and I had to keep my composure, and now all my patience is gone.
So I've myself have been an end of life care person for someone who had Alzheimer's with dementia. And I can speak from my experience as well as speak from my intuition and my heart that you have to visualize this person as a toddler, as a small child. And as you visualize them as this young child, it allows you to play with them or treat them as a child in a loving way, and understand that you can't go and argue logic, you can't argue reality with someone who is in Alzheimer's with dementia. So the only thing that you're going to find success with is distraction, love, distraction, caring, and distraction. So learn how to distract them. Learn your secret weapons. One of my secret weapons was my young daughter. I could put her in front of this amazing woman who is suffering with this Alzheimer's with dementia, and she would instantly shift. She would shift out of this rage place into this, oh my goodness, this beautiful little girl. She's so cute, and I learned that was a secret weapon. I didn't go around toting my daughter, but my daughter came with my whole family, and we loved that she was able to be this special weapon to help open up the light in this particular person, this amazing woman who is so precious to us and still is precious to us. So it's not easy, but it's worth it. It's sure worth it if you put some kindness, some love, and put yourself in a mental state that you understand that these are not functioning adults anymore. Now it's time to recognize them as almost like a toddler or a young child mentally. Yeah.
Thank you. Hey, shifting again more towards personal guidance. The person asked, I see 1111 pretty much every day, also seeing 1133 frequently. I've read and heard that seeing these kinds of numbers have meaning, that they're angel numbers, that they're good luck. Are they really, and what might I learn from seeing these numbers?
Here's what's really neat is the universe has so many facets to it. There's numbers, there's elements, there's electricity, there is weather patterns, earth patterns, geological patterns. The beautiful thing about life here, in the physical and the eternal, both, is God is present in all of this, all of it. And so you can receive little nudges, little winks from God, little, air-blown kisses from God that you can get through numbers, through feathers, coins, butterflies, dragonflies, certain sunsets, certain beautiful things that happen at synchronistic times. I was just having an early dinner with a gal today that she turned on her streaming device, and as she turned it on, it was on Mother's Day. It skipped to a program from like many earlier. It completely skipped her current program of Mother's Day, which that's what she turned it on to watch, and it went back to a much older episode. And the older episode was opened with her mother's favorite song, which her mother's on the other side, followed by her daughter's favorite song, which her daughter is on the other side. And so the malfunction of this electronic device served to give her and deliver to her a beautiful message that mom and daughter are together and thinking about her on Mother's Day. And someone might experience this exact same experience and be upset and be hitting the remote. Why is my thing not working? Why didn't this get me to the right episode? But she didn't take it that way. She just let things play out. She let the malfunction play out so that she could receive this message. And part of what we were talking about today with her is that was a message, and it absolutely was. Spirit connects to us, God connects to us in many different ways. And sometimes we're being given 1,000 different omens and symbols, and we're receiving none of them. So open up your eyes, but more importantly, open up your heart, and you'll start seeing these symbols. And to tell you the numbers, I love the numbers. I love numbers on receipts, on license plates, on clocks. Everywhere I look that I see numbers regularly, I get messages from my Father in heaven, from my Creator. And I love that because every number has an energy. Now, I'm not going around planning my life because of something I read on a gas receipt, but I am allowing my life to be uplifted or upgraded by feeling God's love for me, by getting a little wink, a little nudge that I know God's thinking about me as I think about God.
Well, thank you. Okay, next question. I always pictured a reunion of sorts with loved ones when we die, but I haven't ever heard you say anything quite like that. Are we welcomed by loved ones when we die? Does it depend on the situation? How does that work?
Depends on how nice we were. No, just kidding. If we're grumpy, then we have a heaven taxi that comes and gets us. No, just kidding. But there is gatherings of family, and I've been around a few people that as they cross over, they're seeing their loved ones. They actually see them for a couple days before they pass. This would be, individuals in hospice or end of life care. And it's pretty regular that people that work in that industry of hospice, that they see their patients seeing their loved ones for a couple days before they pass over. And yes, there is an absolute reunion, but it's not what we would think. It's not this big party that just starts as they try to help you transition over. First, you're going to have your guidance team. Your guidance team will be the first few people to greet you, and they're going to assist you in getting over to the heaven space. And as you're going there, you're going to be doing some upgrading. You're going to be doing some cleansing, some energetic cleansing, because here on Earth School, even if we have a beautiful, clean home, we still carry a lot of the gunk, the energetic gunk on us. And so we've got to get cleansed of that. As we get cleansed of it, we go into the heaven space where we will have full-on family reunions. My problem was I wasn't allowed to get that far. I got to the point where I got to touch down in heaven, got to experience the tourist version of heaven, but I wasn't able to stay and go see my loved ones. But I was guided there and escorted by a great, great, great grandfather of mine, even though I didn't know that's who he was at the time. I later found that out after the fact, but yeah. So yeah, those reunions do happen. Most times when a husband is already on the other side, he is the one greeting to bring the wife over, or vice versa. If the wife was the first to cross over, she'll be the one greeting to help the husband cross. But it's not 100% of the time. I've actually seen it where, husband and wife didn't have one of them pass away on such good terms. And so the husband won't be seen until later when they're in heaven after they've kind of gone through the process, and they may be greeted by their parents. Yeah. But many times it's both.
Okay.
I think that answered it, right?
Yeah, that absolutely did.
Yes.
And Let's see. I'm going to merge a couple of these here. So how can we be in touch with our loved ones who have passed? Are they still around, even if they moved on to another life? And I'm going to tie that to a question with what makes a particular team of angels or guides feel more connected to us? Does the team change as you grow?
So I'll start with that. What is the particular team or angels that are connected to us? I want to start with that because there's definitive teams that we were all grouped together in spirit families, or what some people call soul groups. And these soul groups got together, kind of like a team that we find here. They get these soul groups together and they say, "Hey, our goal is we're going to go to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and we're going to spread out to all these different places of Pittsburgh, and we're going to try to raise the love energy. And you five over there are going to be teachers, and you five over there are going to be nurses, and you 10 over there are going to be attorneys." And so this soul group goes down, and not particularly in one city, but that's just an example. They'll go down and they'll have a specific goal in mind. And what bonds that soul group is the intention to raise the love energy of the earth space, the earth school. And so there is many soul groups all over, and that definitely influences who we end up becoming friends with here, who we end up marrying here, and that's part of the long path. And then can you ask the first question again?
First one is, how can we be in touch with loved ones that have passed? Are they still around, even if they moved on to another life?
Okay, so loved ones are always around, even if they've moved on. They've moved on to heaven, they've moved on to their eternal progression, because we are in an eternal progression, whether that means they're going to some type of Akashic school or a special school to learn whatever they want to learn, or if you believe in the multiple lives, if they're coming back on a life, something like that. But here's the thing, is the beautiful thing is, if we love our ancestor and our ancestor loves us, we will keep that connection, whether we're here or they're there or elsewhere. That connection continues eternally. And the soul itself is so vast and so much bigger than what we could understand. The soul is so great that it can be there doing all that and still have a piece of it that it lends down here to be with us and to guide us and to help protect us and lead us. It's quite a beautiful process to perceive and to understand as you watch it happen. Perfect example is, one spirit is going through the heaven school, which is a school that you can learn all the mysteries of the universe. And as they're doing that, they, just like you could be watching something on your phone while you're in a class at school here, they lend a piece of their consciousness to be here with us and influencing us, helping us, while they're doing that at the same time. But they're not limited by the physical reality that we have here. So that being said, they can be in so many different places at the same time, and they can be with multiple loved ones at the same time. So that means grandma can be with all the grandkids all at the same time, or mom can be with all of her kids at the same time. Okay.
Awesome.
Oh, actually, I missed a part of that. And that was, how do you build a stronger connection to them? And I'll tell you, through love, through gratitude. I have an exercise that I use quite regularly of doing a journal to a loved one. And what you do is open up a journal and start asking questions that you would have for your loved one. And then use your imagination and start answering those questions. And you'll be surprised, in certain moments, you'll realize you don't even remember writing an answer. And in those times, you're understanding that there is that extra influence helping you connect and understand and perceive that intuition, that intention that spirit has to help you. Okay, sorry. Now we can go to the next one. Sorry.
Awesome, thank you. And then how can we differentiate between our higher self versus our spirit guides, influence from God, which one's working with their intuition. When I receive a definite inner calling to do something, is that my higher self? Is it my intuition? Is it my guides? How do you know where that's coming from?
So here's the hard part for us is some of us that are kind of plugged into our intuition will receive a message that we're supposed to go and do this certain activity, right? So we'll go and do that certain activity, and that activity ends up turning into a big failure, okay? But here's the thing, our intuition was leading us there for the education we were going to get from the failure. They weren't leading us there to lead us to a success in that event, but leading us to that event for the education. So don't think because something doesn't work or you don't get the job or you don't get the house, just because these things aren't going through, don't think that intuition led you in the wrong way. It's doing that for you so it takes you to the next baby step, the next baby step, the next baby step. And that's how we work is we kind of need someone to hold our hand, baby step by baby step. And even as those baby steps turn into missteps, that step down ends up being a step up as we get in the right place at the right time for intuition to take us in the right direction. Okay.
And I'll add one thing, because this is a question I know we hear a lot, and this is one of the key things that I've learned and developed over the years is the way that the way God communicates with me and the way my team and everything. Even now, it's difficult for me to differentiate, but I've since learned that the reason for that is first of all, God's not going to shout when a whisper will do. And by making you stretch to hear it, that makes you stretch closer to God. So there's a reason that they're not shouting all the time. And then also I realized that if I'm going to make a decision that's the right one anyway, kind of like me as a parent, if I see my kid is about to make the right decision, I'm not going to tell them to make that decision because I want them to make it on their own. And they learn and grow. And then sometimes when you're in total sync with your team, you don't even really notice. Have you ever been part of a group where you come up with some great idea and you try to backtrack where that idea started? It's impossible to remember who exactly came up with the initial idea because everybody was involved.
Mm-hmm. It's a team effort from our side and their side both. Mm-hmm. And I remember part of that question was, how do you differentiate, angels, guides, and ancestors? They're all on the love team, all of them. And as you get better at listening to them, you'll get better at distinguishing who is who. But it takes years of listening to them and following that listening. So just because you're listening to the intuition and you're not following it, it's not going to continue to grow and get stronger. You've got to listen to it and follow it, listen to it and follow it. And as you get better and better at that, then they allow that connection and that communication to get stronger and clearer and stronger and clearer.
I know we're coming up on time. Can we ask 3 or 4
Sure.
more? Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so the next one, how can we develop a stronger personal connection with God and God's light?
Service, 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 and gratitude, and service. So serve others. That doesn't mean you need to go join a service project. That means look around your home, look around your home, look who needs service, give them service, and show gratitude as you're even receiving service. Allow others to serve you. And it's weird, but allowing others to serve you in a moment of gratitude, that's going to help you as well. So service and gratitude, because what is service? It's lovingly caring for someone else outside yourself. And then the gratitude is kind of throwing gas on the fire. It's going to make it even stronger if you can maintain gratitude while you do service. Yeah.
Great. So a question about our eternal nature. This person asks, I would love to know what you think about the duality of light and dark. Is that just a function of our existence here on Earth and our ego, or is it more of an eternal thing? Like, are we going to have like light and dark sides outside of this current existence? Do we need both of them to be whole, or is it just a tool here on Earth?
Well, I'll give you an example or an explanation. In heaven, there is so much love. You're so surrounded by love. You're so encompassed by God's love. Anything that God or the Creator wants, you want instantaneous. You really, really um, assume or jump onto whatever the intention of God is. And the hard part is for us to grow, we can't go around saying, yeah, that's what I want, God. That's what I want too. We don't grow that way. So we have to step away from home. We have to step to this cold, dark place, but also a very beautiful place called Earth School. And in Earth School, we're not allowed to even remember how much God loves us. There we have to use faith, we have to use work. And through that faith and work, we can rediscover or remember the love that God has for us. And as we do that, we can utilize that power of understanding the yin and the yang, the good and the bad. And this is the way I look at it. Every time the pendulum of life swings to evil or failure, I know that the pendulum will correct. And eventually, all I have to do is write it out, and it's going to correct on the side of success and light. And not that light is success, but just saying as that example. Um, but yin and yang is an eternal principle. You'll find the greatest growth in the yin and yang energies. It takes the duality to get the progress. But we don't need progress in all places of the universe, only certain places. So you're not going to find the essential duality of yin and yang everywhere, but you'll find that principle working everywhere, even in heaven. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, just a couple left. One is I'm the parent of a son with disabilities. Some people tell me the individual with disabilities chose that before coming to Earth. I'm also told that disabled individuals automatically go to heaven. Any insights on this?
So we can't put fences around God, because when we do, we block out his light or block out the light of the Creator. But here's what I will tell you. There's no one certain rule for any of this or any of us. There isn't. But what I've experienced, and I'll share what I've experienced over the years, I would say 100% of the cases of someone in a very special needs situation, an individual that is special needs, especially as the mind is not completely coherent or involved in life, that is happening to that person for a couple of reasons. Number one, yes, because they elected to have it that way. But number two, because God gave them that option, because essentially they had already done what they need to do in their progress before they came here. So they're coming here as a grace for us. And that's number three. They're here for us to teach us charity, to teach us resiliency, to teach us the power of love in the face of noise and chaos and hardship. There is tremendous power in the love of a parent. And just like the rudders on a ship, if we keep adjusting those rudders, we will get to our destination eventually, no matter the life storm that gets in front of us. And to me, I can speak from experience that when I check into the soul inside that special needs person, they look like warriors, huge warriors of light. And to me, that answers that question completely. That God sends them here in this protected state of special needs. They've already earned what they need to earn. They're here as a grace for us, to teach us. And then as they cross over, they get to go back to their original state of this huge warrior of light. And anybody who doesn't agree with me on that, talk to a special needs parent, and you'll know unequivocally that giant being, that giant presence of light that exists within them is precious. Very precious. Okay, I think that answered it.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you. Okay, last one. We had several questions asking you to expand on things that you mentioned previously about preparing for the future. I'm going to merge them all together into one broad question. And that is,
Awesome.
what are the most important and impactful things that we can do now to prepare for whatever is to come?
So just remember that your brain has a trapdoor. One side is love and joy. The other side is fear. So make sure that as you're translating or processing the world, make sure you're processing it on the love side. Because if we process this world in a fearful state, we will make some major missteps. We're going to miss the mark. We're going to miss the intuitive notice. We're going to miss the special messages that our creator's trying to send us about going to move or get a new job or start a new career or start a business. These messages are coming, but we won't be able to receive them if we're in a state of fear. And I say that to myself at the same time as I say it outwardly to you all. Make your brain stay in a state of love. No matter what is going on the outside world, keep in a state of love. No matter what you read in the newspapers, no matter what you read online with the news, no matter what you see on TV and news and entertainment, go outside on a sunny day and the world is not ending. Connect to our creator, connect to nature, take some deep breaths. Discover breath work if you can, but keep your body, your physiology, and your psychology in a positive state, a state of gratitude and a state of love. And as you do that, you yourself will receive the messages you're supposed to receive. Don't have fear about it. Don't freak out about it. Those messages will land, and when they land, they'll land on fertile ground and they will grow, and you will take action as they grow. So allow yourself to be in that place of love and gratitude. That is the most important thing I can give as advice for me and for you and for all of us. Don't allow yourself to be in a place of fear. I talked about this in the past. I'll share it again. This world is full of ants, and we are the ants. And Einstein talked about when you would take 100 red ants and 100 black ants, you could put them into a colony and they would live side by side without ever having a problem. They would even lay their eggs in some of the same little dugouts as each other. But if you shook the ant farm, the red ant and the black ant would start fighting each other until one of the races was completely eradicated. So the question isn't who is the better ant. The question is who's shaking the ant farm. And fear is what makes ants do that. Survival is what makes ants do that. And if you're in a state of love and gratitude, you can be guided. But if you're in a state of fear, you can be manipulated. You get to choose which is which.
So thank you. And thank you to everybody for joining us on the call. And thank you to everyone who submitted questions. As I mentioned at the beginning, we're exploring ways to provide more opportunities to ask questions like these and also to ask some more personal stuff. If you have a question that we didn't answer tonight that you really want an answer to, or if you would like some personal guidance, you can schedule a meeting with Vinney through our website at livinggodslight.com. Once there, click on the guidance link at the top. We're in the process of adding some other options and making some changes to the website. So you may find that guidance link under the heading Learning or something like that. And then on the guidance page, you can see several options for scheduling a time to meet with Vinney. We've also been testing some ways to expand the Living God's Light community. Keep in touch on our website for the latest, and also sign up for email announcements on our website. Again, that's livinggodslight.com. Vinney, anything you would like to say as we wrap up?
I want to share my love for all of you. And I want you to know that I know for a fact that every single one of you is a divine masterwork. Every single one of you. And that you are extremely precious to our Creator, and that our Creator wants every single one of you to find happiness and joy in this life. So make sure that you find those places of joy, find those things that bring you gratitude, and give yourself access to these things. Create situations to encourage these things, and maintain that attitude of gratitude in everywhere that you can, because as you do, that light that God has, that love that God has for you, will only grow inside of you and get stronger and stronger. So thank you, everybody. I love you guys, and thanks for joining us tonight. And for anybody wondering, yes, we're going to put this on YouTube so that people can watch it in a recorded version, okay? Thank you, guys. We love
Thank
you.
you all. Have a good night.